The article yesterday, or the initial discussion yesterday, was talked about being raised in Parliament about there being attempted, well, they should be focused on um, not allowing Australians to fight with dual citizenship to fight in conflicts where one of those citizenships exist, or dual nationals. Now, again, specifically, that seemed to come out in regards to uh, Israel and Gaza, and the, I guess, the impost on Israelis to serve a period of conscription. Um, there's been this sort of discussion pop up from time to time. It certainly appeared in the late 90s with the breakup of Yugoslavia. There were people who went like with very strong family ties back to the new nations now that were the former Yugoslavia, that went back and fought for various groups, fought on various sides. I mean, that certainly happened back then. There is the more recent cases of people who went and fought for Islamic State in Iraq and other places, and also the war brides, Islamic State brides, particularly from people who went in willingly to go to those areas to do that. There is the question about what should happen to them afterwards. Um, and I made the point yesterday that it depends on who you're going to fight for and whether or not those nations or those belligerents are in the good books or the bad books. So, for example, like I said yesterday, there is a former Australian soldier heading up the military of the United Arab Emirates. There are Australians through defence contractors providing training, or even through defence providing training to foreign militaries or to um, fighters in various conflicts. I mean, there's articles about Australian involvement in training of Ukrainian troops, for example. But at the same time, there's also articles about a former US Marine, I believe, a basically former US serviceman who's was last sitting in jail in Australia, fighting deportation to the US because the company he worked for in South Africa was providing training to the Chinese military aviators. And so, well, that was like, oh, no, we don't want that. You're going to be jailed for that. Now, had that training been provided to another nation's military, yeah, people probably wouldn't have cared. Like, oh, yep, they're our friends, go on with it. And so it's almost like it's well, one thing that, okay, it's understandable why people want to go back and fight for places they have very close ties to, but at the same time, it should be done with caution that, well, you may be cutting your ties to Australia completely because Australia is not in favour of the belligerents that you're going to fight for or the conflict that you're going to go be involved with. At the same time, the conflicts that they're currently in favour of may turn out to not be so good. I've spoken to people who were engaged in combat operations in Iraq post 2003 who have subsequently gone through a crisis of confidence about, and these were people who'd served with the military, so it wasn't a case of they went and did it off their own back. This was, I served with the military, I wanted to go do this, who then had a crisis of confidence when they finally stopped to consider the legality or the appropriateness of the conflict over there and their involvement in it. And so there was almost like a complete 180 in their position on it. And yeah, it came at a cost to them. It hurt them deep. And it also then basically influenced how they then subsequently looked at anything the government said, because they'd believed what they'd been told up to that point. Um, so this happens. This article, this sort of stuff comes up from time to time, and uh, will we see something formalised out of it? Possibly, because he's picked a scene that the current government is probably in favour of. The funnily enough, what I was just saying before about factions in the political parties, well, he lost his position in the cabinet because of a faction fallout. So maybe he's trying to get his position back. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's some other stuff there about John Howard, former Prime Minister's interpretation of Albanese's declaration that he's going to recognise Palestinian statehood. I mean, there's reasons why the governments in the past haven't done it. I don't know that it's necessarily populism. They're certainly trying to win some political points right now, but I don't think that's going to. The long-term consequences of it don't seem to have been considered just yet. Well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, the idea that well, they've targeted Israel specifically, but dual nationals fighting in foreign conflicts, whether that should be prevented. I mean, in general terms, I think it's fair, but if they're specifically tying it to Israel and Gaza, I don't think that's appropriate. That seems to be more of a targeted thing that shouldn't have been targeted. But anywho,